Welcome back to Spartans Baseball. Thank you for joining us online as we come to you live from Edinburgh. Today the Spartans are taking on the Scottish National Baseball League Single A Allstars. And I'll be here with you on the call. This is Gabriel Fiddler. First pitch to Ricky Scott is a called strike. This is the Spartans' 11th game of the year, but today is an exhibition game as the second pitch comes in there. Looks like that was called a strike as well. So 0-2 to Durham's leadoff hitter Ricky Scott. And the pitch comes in. Breaking pitch. Scott checks the bat. He's tagged speculatively, let's say, and the count goes to 1-2. On the mound for the Saltire Sluggers, as the Single A All-Star team is known, is Blaine Heary, as that ball comes in low for the second ball, evens the count at 2. Blaine Heary wearing an Edinburgh baseball t-shirt, unclear whether that's Cannons, Giants or Edinburgh Uni, as the count runs full. So today is a mixture on the Scottish side of their 4 Single A clubs, as that ball is low. And Scott scampers up to first base, and the Spartans have the leadoff base runner on as Scott works back from 0-2. Batting next is Oriana Frame. She's the second baseman. Ricky Scott, as usual, is anchoring first base. In Oriana's last game for which we have statistics, which was game 1 against Durham Uni a few weeks ago, she reached base twice on a walk and an error, 0 for 3 with 2 runs overall. That ball is high to go to 1-0. Pitch comes in, called strike as Frame jumps out of the box. That's 1-1 count. So runner on first base, nobody out as that pitch is called. Ball to Oriana Frame. So today Scotland's teams have representatives from the Edinburgh Knights as that pitch is low and Ricky advances to second, easily on a wild pitch with this deep backstop here. So the Saltire Sluggers, which is the name for the Single A Scottish National Baseball League All-Star team, comprises teams from Edinburgh Knights, which is the Edinburgh Cannons, multi-time champion of the Scottish Senior National League at AAA. Their Single A team. We also have Galaxy Comets, Glasgow Galaxy, Glasgow Comets, the 2 teams from Glasgow, a representative from the Edinburgh Diamond Devils, the other Edinburgh team, and then the Tayport Breakers single team. 2 players on the field for them, about evenly distributed between the 2, and there's also 1 player with an Edinburgh Uni jersey on as Oriana draws a walk. So runners on first and second, nobody out, brings up Carl Howe. We're using Carl's excellent equipment for broadcasting to you this year, as you no doubt know by now, and he steps up as the 3-hole hitter. Carl was away in the US for a little while, as that ball goes well high. Bobbled by the left fielder, but no further advancement. So Ricky forces the throw with a steal of third. E2 goes the catcher, and the Spartans are on the board. Oriana Frame advancing to second. So 1-0 now. So Howe up to the plate with a 1-0 count. Spartans have a runner on second. Called strike from Heary on the mound. Swing and a miss for Howe. Oriana takes off for third. Throw is on the money, but not picked up by the third baseman as the throw comes in. Frame in safely. So a stolen base leads to another error, this time by the third baseman. And the count goes to 2-1. So, Howe up there with a 2-1 count. Coming to you live from the Spartans dugout, so I hope you're enjoying the chatter in the background of the broadcast as Howe swings at a low pitch and fouls that off. So 2-2 count now here. We're at Warriston Park in more or less the centre of Edinburgh, not quite on the Royal Mile, but just tucked a little bit to the northwest of it. This is the home of Baseball Scotland. Edinburgh Diamond Devils and the Edinburgh Cannons call Warriston Park home, as Howe hacks at a piece and fouls that back over. So Edinburgh Diamond Devils and Edinburgh Cannons, the AAA Scottish National Baseball League teams playing here at Warriston Park, but also, in addition to this, the Diamond Devils single A team and the Edinburgh Knights, who are the single A team for the Cannons. Ball just inside as Howe scoots back off the plate to run this count full. Third consecutive 3-ball count. We've had 3-2, 3-1, 3-2, and now the payoff pitch to this hits Howe. Looks like he turned just to avoid that hitting him straight on the shin. So on what would have been ball 4, trots down on the hit by pitch. So 3 straight runners reach against the hard-dealing Heary. Looks to be throwing probably somewhere in the high 60s, maybe topping out very highest at 70. Struggling with his command here as the rain comes down, not in very heavy droplets, but in very steadily. It's a very thin, misty rain, as you can tell from the splatters on the live stream. So 2 base runners on, one base runner on now. So 0-1 count now, taken outside, makes that 1-1. Scotland fields several versions of collected teams. This team is very much a representative of the single A players, whereas most of the players in the AAA, in addition to playing all-star games, also participate on a Scottish national team run by Baseball Scotland, as Kishi fouls a ball to down the right-hand side. Nubbed that off the end of the bat, did Kishi, who's today's starting pitcher for Game 1 for the Spartans. Douglas Kishi, clean-up hitter and one of the team's strongest threats at the bat. In his last game against Durham Uni on the 15th of June, 1 for 2 in the second game, scored 2 runs, walked, stole a base, drove in a run. In Game 1, as he hits that ball to second base, who tosses to first base for the out. Not quite enough to get over to catch the speedy Kishi at first base. So that is a 4-6 put out. Nice job by Scotland to turn that in the rain, with a player from the Knights at second base, a player from the Comets at shortstop, combining in a tandem that they never normally would and making that play. So Kishi replaces Howe at first base. And the first pitch, I believe, was a ball. Looks like that was a strike, so I believe that is a 1-1. As Kishi takes off for second, very nice throw and the swipe tag, but Kishi just in a hair in advance. What a great throw from the Saltire catcher, who is Philip Makarowski, Edinburgh Knights catcher. Fantastic throw from him down to second. Doesn't quite catch the speedy Kishi, but making it very, very close. Not entirely sure on the count here. I believe it's 2-1. As Heary looks back, as that pitch comes in inside for what must have been strike 3. So that was a 1-2 count. Tommy Warrilow rung up there as Kishi steals second base. So 2 down now. And now Rob Warrilow, the senior of the two, dad of Tommy, steps in. Fouls the ball off to the right-hand side. Fair number of strikes from Heary on the mound, but Spartans yet to catch up to one. Hardest hit ball thus far has been a ball to the second base. Only otherwise foul balls all down the right field side against the left-handed Heary. Probably for most of the Spartans, the first or possibly the second lefty they've seen outside of club chairman Cammy Martin, who occasionally takes the mound to pitch in intra-squad and batting practice games. So real-life test against the hard-throwing Heary here in Warriston Park in Scotland. So runner on second, 2 down, 2-0 Spartans. Good start thus far despite no hits as of yet for County Durham. Durham comes in with a very strong record, one of its best in years thus far. 7-3 so far. 3-1 record in the developmental league of teams in the north of England. And then a 4-2 record in the Northeast Baseball League. Today, of course, will not count for either standings. That ball is airmailed over the catcher, who scampers back, picks it up quickly, but no play on the wild pitch to get Kishi at third base. Great start to the season then for the Spartans. First winning record in recent memory. I'd have to check the record books actually for the last one, particularly with the shifting leagues from the Northern League that many of you will have known from the 90s, well into the 2000s and 2010s, transitioning into the Northeast Baseball League, roughly in coincidence with the pandemic, as Warrilow hacks at a pitch, a little bit behind on it, runs the count to 1-2. Certainly in the Northeast Baseball League era, this is the best start to a season for the Spartans in this midsummer exhibition game, a chance to test the club's mettle against its neighbours north of the border. Quite a long history of games between teams from Durham and Scotland. We'll tell you more about that after this 2-2 pitch from Heary. Warrilow reaches out, but the Comets shortstop Mike Keir reaches up and snares that soft line drive headed into left field and just brings that home. Gets Scotland out of the inning, 2-0. The deficit, with the Spartans taking 2 runs on no hits. There were 2 errors and 1 left on base. We will change now to return for in just a few minutes with the bottom half of the inning. Douglas Kishi on the mound. Will have more on his performance against Saltire in the bottom half of the inning. we have a separate one for the team, separate one for scores.
Scenes for the positions.
I'm trying to think if we have that. I don't think we haven't used it in the 2 doubleheaders I've done. We can do. We have runners on bases though, at least. So.
I can't be asked doing balls and strikes.
I do, but I miss them pretty regularly.
Because that's actually somebody's full-time job normally. It's just the ball.
Well, indeed, yeah.
50 quid lifetime fee, you can get it for an iPad.
Ah, okay.
64 buttons on a page.
Okay.
So instead of having to swap pages, which is really impressive. And you can run tethered now.
Okay.
So through USB hub instead of having to Wi-Fi it all.
Yeah, okay, that's very useful.
And yeah, like one-off cost, which is, I don't like renting software.
No. I feel strongly about that as well, actually.
Which is why I quite like the Blood Magic stuff in DaVinci.
I haven't used that. I normally show up at places that have their own stream. Yeah. Someone else runs all the tech, and I'm just on the microphone. So, with as advanced as things have gotten, I now actually oddly know much less than I did when I first started doing it, which is, you normally experience. I'm much more comfortable behind the mic, but there's so many systems. Right, I'm gonna go back live again. Apologies for the technical difficulties as that pitch goes high for a 4-pitch walk. So runners on first and second as Makarovsky walks. Rain really coming down here with runners on first and second. Apologies for some slight technical difficulties here. As base runners take off, no chance to catch them with this rain. Jones behind the plate, coming in for his second, I should say, game. He came in relief after starter Mike Heyman a few weeks ago was injured, as a strike comes in to Mickey Walton. Walton, an Edinburgh Diamond Devils player, the only member amongst the starting 10. We'll come back to that in a moment. As he has a measured swing, ropes a ball into left field. Warrilow struggles to pick it up in the rain, and 2 runs come home on the single with the error. RBI for Mickey Walton. So ball game is tied here after 3 batters. Good job running the bases by Grennan and Makarovsky, the 1 and 2 hitters. Brings up James Rennie, Tayport Breakers player, who takes a massive hack and misses. Tayport just the other side from Dundee. Further north up the coast here, across the Firth of Forth. Another big swing and a miss as Walton takes off and steals third. Jones, in his 3rd season for the Spartans behind the plate, has thus far really only played second, short, and a little outfield beyond the couple innings behind the plate in relief of Mike Heyman in a developmental league game about a month ago. Tough baptism by fire here for him, especially against the flame-throwing Kishi. Though Kishi dialing back to about 70% here just to try and get it over the plate with the rain. Tough order. The Edinburgh mound is also a portable mound with imitation grass, as that pitch floats in softly, must have just missed inside. And with the nature of the mound with the imitation grass, no way of wearing metal spikes. So game 1 starter, as that pitch goes low to score the run on the wild pitch, game 1 starter Kishi and myself pitching in the second game will be up there in regular trainers. A difficult order, particularly as heavily as the rain is coming down. So that's a storyline today, is the a new style of mound, with it being both an artificial one, therefore no sides to it, as that ball misses just inside for what must have been ball 4 in the end. So another stolen base after the walk sends Rennie to second. He's followed by Mike Keir, who made that nice play to get out of the top half of the first inning. Fouls that ball off. Huge hack for Keir. He was clearly swinging for the fences there. Comets player. Comets in the white, turquoise and navy. Galaxy in the navy, white and turquoise. Ball floated in, soft hit to short where Warrilow picks it up, throws to first. Too late. Scott fails to pick up the wild throw, and Keir will advance to second. So a throwing error by the shortstop leads to another run. 4-0, 4-2 now. The Saltire Sluggers. You will have noticed, I suspect, the discrepancy on the screen. I apologise. I'm struggling to get the score to record. So, ball comes into Ryan McFarlane, who on a 1-0 pitch hits a long ball over the head of the Spartans right fielder Steve Moody. Goes all the way to the wall. Looks like McFarlane is going to just take the triple. RBI triple to deep right centre field. Scores the 5th run of the game for Scotland.
Russell, guys, we're getting!
So 5-2 Spartans as Gavin McIntosh, the first baseman, steps in, wearing the Galaxy jersey, the navy turquoise and white. Ryan McFarlane on third. Something unusual in this game, which I alluded to in the last half inning, is that there are 10 players on the field. Each team is fielding 10, as this is an exhibition game, get more players in. For the Spartans, it means they're fielding a pitcher who is hitting as McIntosh fouls that ball off, as well as a DH. For the Scottish side, the pitcher is not hitting, and instead there are 2 DHs. So for the first time in my broadcasting career, I can say the first and second DH of a team. In the meantime, 2-1 count as that ball comes in low to McIntosh. So Kishi comes sats, lobs it in. Ball dropped into centre field. Liam Tweddle, this one centre fielder, comes in, but easy RBI single for McIntosh to score the 6th run of the inning. Unclear whether we are playing with the usual mercy rule of 7 runs in an inning. I guess we'll find out. Instead, it's once through the order, I'm told by Cammy Martin, hovering over my shoulder. As a seeing eye single drops into centre field. In the end, it's right fielder Steve Moody throwing from left centre field to get in that ball. Just drops in for a single. As the great Wee Willie Keeler once said, hit 'em where they ain't. Well, one way to do that, pop it up between the second base, shortstop, centre field, and right field. So runners on first and second. Skied foul ball from Craig Haverstock of the Breakers, Tayport Breakers.
Some tree as well, isn't it? That tree, mate, isn't it?
Enormous oak tree down the left field side out of view. Ball ricocheting down the branches. I can recall from a previous game here when playing, I was playing left field, I think it was, and a foul ball went in there. Took about 5 minutes and 2 batters to actually make its way back down. Such is the size of the mighty Warriston oak. Count goes, I believe, to 1-1. Sidearm throw from Kishi, trying anything to get the ball soaking wet over the plate. As McIntosh steals third, Eric Yang, the previous hitter, stays at first base. So Haverstock, the number 9 but 9 out of 10 hitter, is in the plate. Soft ball outside as Yang lumbers down to second. Just about the slowest steal I've ever seen. But given the ability to grip the ball, really nothing that can be done now, as Kishi, who normally does not struggle with his command, just trying to find the plate here with the ball practically ringing off with wet. Bases loaded now as the final hitter in the inning, James Waddle, comes in. Son of Tom Waddle, for whom the field at Tayport is named after, is hit inside-out swing, fouls a ball off to the right-hand side. So the younger Waddle, wearing number 37. Excuse me, I said the Tayport Breakers, the Glasgow Galaxy field, Tom Waddell field. So Waddle, the 10th hitter in the inning, he's playing left field. Ball in from Kishi, ruled a little bit high. So 1-1 count. Snared by Howe, who throws back to shortstop. Did not tag. Nice heads-up double play by Howe. So, line drive, soft, very soft line drive. And Spartans have turned an incredible triple play. So we'll recap that for you. Ball softly lined to Carl Howe at third base. He catches it. So the hitter, James Waddell, is out. He then throws to the shortstop to catch Gavin McIntosh, who has taken off for third without tagging. And so that's 2 outs as the out automatically recorded at second base. Ball is then lobbed back over and lost behind third base, wherein the lead runner, though actually I have this as McIntosh, returns and is tagged out at third. I feel I'm a little bit confused here, to be frankly honest. I would appear that we may have gotten the same runner out twice in the... No, that's what it was. I apologize. Wrong name. So Eric Yang out with the second out. Gavin McIntosh had rounded third, gone all the way down round to home to attempt to score. He then attempts to return all the way back to third base, by the which point Carl Howe has returned the ball to Rob Warrilow. So if you are counting that at home, we have a 5-6-2, 5-6 triple play, possibly the first in Spartans history. So 5-2, 5-6 triple play gets the Spartans out of the inning. How about that? We got there in the end. 6 runs score for the Scottish Single A All-Stars. They do so against a total of 4 hits. There were 2 errors in the inning, only 1 runner left on with the AAA, and we head to the bottom of the second inning.
saw Highland Spring. Even the rating's different up here.
The time we finish, I'm going to pull up charges for it. Charge you can't.
Yeah, it's supposed to be lovely again.
That sounds like something I said. Could ask, but it wasn't charged.
Have we got any more home?
Is that not fucking lovely? It's not bad, because that's why we work hard on it. So literally sit till we work hard.
That's the only one I don't have.
No.
Oh, that's possible. Yeah, I'm not complaining, you know that.
Am I going to change it to allow you to
What I'm doing. Yes, but
I didn't charge it last night, to be honest. But if you look first, you get to work.
now I've got to realise that
No, 90% left. I drove past it and charges the lane.
and of course Kirkcaldy Field now is the new school.
Yeah.
But when you go up the hills, if I came up,
Right.
you'll be right, because the hills up and down, you have to activate your back.
There's a murderer. Can't even do that. Rolly back.
Kevin and all that's playing for the team. I've got
That's funny, you put it in. Next time we're in Edinburgh, I'll meet someone like
with
this.
the
Good job.
we're waiting on making up my mind.
I'm already living out like 10,000 miles a year.
Oh, honestly, God.
11,000 miles. Been using September.
I think it'll matter if like 1 or 2,000, but if you like double it, then
Anything over the charge.
I'm right now been on this field 16 years.
14 pence a mile. 15 pence a mile over. So you go 1,000 miles over, it's like 145.
Hopefully it'll stop.
If you go 5,000 miles over, it's 750.
I'm going to run under the season.
I know
We
you
are
are.
on tracks. It's like
I think
5,000
it's supposed to save money and not cost more.
Oh, well.
Oh, we're getting taxed from next year.
I'll put my bag on the news.
Because the damage to the roads.
What was that, 7?
Any car can still still around.
It's just the weight of them. They're all like 2 ton. So
The scoreboard says 60.
Oh, is it?
We'll go to draw. It was 3 out. So.
How many points get doubled, doesn't it? Let's just not be the person who call it off, and then we don't lose. They do. If they call it, they lose. Profit.
Yeah, we win against the national team. So
it's nice weather back home as well.
we don't say the reason why. We don't say a reason why it's going on. We just say we're trying to go.
Yeah, I've actually gone to look to see what all last week.
I said, we were here, so you come find a golf today. I was like, I'm in Edinburgh. It's
I think
really
they're just going car.
They're not. There's loads going on in the trees.
orgy in the trees.
It sounded like
I was
that.
laughing after.
It did sound like.
So whoever is murdering whoever was really
Did you
enjoying
say there was
themselves.
laughing as well?
Yeah, I was laughing after.
But after the screaming. But I don't know if it's just using the alcohol jaws of
Oh,
evil
wait,
mind
it's always
method.
the case of like.
Call him so.
We all heard it. Did you not? No.
There's a posh part of it.
We're in Scotland.
Castle was the only posh bit.
Yeah. Please stop.
No, I do. I like Edinburgh Christmas.
I've already put some money aside for hotels for August. Like, there's not going to be cheap down there. So my fancy sandwich. Went for the premium meal there.
Can we fold the chairs?
Welcome to the south.
There's more space for everyone to stand in the middle. Because I mean the chairs are.
Yeah, get your chairs
folded.
folded up, yeah.
I can't spread out with all these chairs in the way.
That's what I'm sitting with watching porn.
Right, let's go to the zoo.
There's a pub just on the corner.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going in.
Tommy, you driving?
Yeah, I'll drive.
We need
To the zoo.
Can we just leave
The zoo, I know. Drop me off to the airport.
Pay on the back of car.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay a fucking flight to the Teesside.
Put the gazebo over your.
I've got unlimited more time to this after
Put it in upside down, we'll have a red
Put the car in the back and tail back.
True.
redneck hot tub.
Very good, yeah.
Line the boot with a top, redneck hot tub.
I think because it's Scottish weather, not English weather, we win this game.
Are we just going to have to AI the rest of the content for that we hope to achieve for the social media?
Anyway, they've just left, so.
We win.
Yeah,
Anyway,
they're just gone. They've left the gear and gone.
Pitch one ball,
Yeah.
and then the
Good.
Maybe they know about a pub that's like just behind them trees or something.
Tesco. It's a Scottish pub. Yeah, they're off.
Yeah.
Well, I don't care for that one,
The Tesla guy took like 6 person on the inside the car, so half of the team's gone already.
All the ones that were in that little.
Did they get that recorded?
W Allies was at the other side.
Like, I'm on the street and comes this permit all paying the fare.
That's not the
So I
rubber, right?
pull in there. You have to go pay for
Yeah.
50
That's
quid.
James L. Jones then. I've actually looked this again.
Saves a few quid there then.
I packed up there because I thought that one might be locked. And
Yeah, I mean,
turn it on and off.
Don't you think Bobby's dreams from Field of Dreams?
One thing they did say, I heard the third base coach saying that he's never pitched off these mounds before, so they won't be picking off. They're not expecting you to pick. I just liked how he was
Also,
like,
it's really hard because if you try and pick up second, you fall off the back of the.
the push-off bar at the end, just right on the edge of the mound, isn't it? It's like, I just loved how he was like throwing really high while I was watching. And his first 2 balls, I was like, fucking hell.
And then, like, on your third strike, well, trying to get your third strike, you just went for the leg.
He went for my legs.
I mean, there's a lot of people that is smart to bring it down.
So I lined out to third.
Yeah, should we go to Manchester watch? There's
What-
2
what-
playing.
what-
It's
what-
like the weather is still holding
Newcastle
there.
on the way back. Let's just walk up there. Nate said it's nicer though. How does he know he's not there?
My weather's nice.
He left a lot after.
Because my friends are playing golf and I'm here.
That's why he's ill.
I'm already here now.
He's going home early to play golf.
I'm off.
Catch the last half.
Well, you're up this way now, Nate. You might as well go the old course or something.
Yeah, I'm trying to wait to get in the ballast for that.
Where's Trump's course?
East Coast.
Has he got one both sides? He's got one on both sides.
The one that got vandalised, I think, was the East side.
Which one's his wife buried in?
Oh yeah.
I don't know.
He buried his wife.
I can't afford his players' horses anyway.
His ex-wife.
Yeah, his ex-wife. Yeah, his ex-wife. He buried his ex-wife in there, so he didn't have to pay taxes because it's classed as a graveyard. So he's got one body in it.
It
does feel like
Yeah, that is definitely getting lighter.
This
There's one person who's going to stay on the tent.
5 minutes in the morning.
You're taking my place. Suit up.
Yeah, if we all, so 5 minutes we'll try and we'll give it another go.
Yeah, we're already here. Good.
Yeah, we're here. So
Everybody's wet anyway.
if we can't
We
carry
did
on.
have a bunch of all-weather balls, but they're currently down with the other team in Croydon.
We've
got some all-weather balls.
So you want us to just wait for them?
Or do we?
Are they in the car?
No,
Be here in a bit.
Are you coming ball back?
Ball back.
God, he's back up here an hour and the language just comes out of his mouth. Where's my curry bag? There's my drinks and my food. I just love like I was still first base there. Hearing the conversations and every other word is
We
fucked.
could be fake.
And then the thing is you never hear you swear.
I
It's completely different.
think because it goes so much.
Yeah,
Like the
it doesn't
heaviness.
feel like the slick in it. It feels like
What the England with his Scots.
Scotland. Scone.
So I drive the Hadrian Wall border patrol when I walk through.
The other day I sat there tea and scones at this cafe and I ordered and the woman that was sat on the bench next to me looked at me as if I'd committed murder. And then she took, like, her order was next and she went, scone, really loud like that. I was like, what? Yeah. That's a balanced pair. Yeah. Yeah, she did, like, she proper went loud on the scone.
the stone is.
Right, when did we get in the batting order?
That with that stone is.
Who batted last?
It's Paul, Steve, Liam.
Paul, Steve, Liam.
Yep.
Go.
Paul, Steve, Liam, Cammy.
Paul, that's where you want to be with the catch of gear.
Right the way
Huh?
back through.
You want to be out first.
Mickey.
Ricky.
a bit like Nicky there.
It can be if you play your cards right.
Carl, you tease.
Oh, it's definitely letting up.
It is. It is. It just,
Until the
we are
next
all
wave
bit
blows
foggy
over.
already.
Oh, there it is.
Wind will keep it away.
This is a lovely summer's day for you guys, I believe.
Yeah.
Apart from it is actually sunny in Durham.
Apparently this is a lovely summer's day in Manchester as well.
Yeah.
It's not horizontal. There's not a gale blowing. There's not any ice involved in it. It's not proper rain.
If it doesn't hurt, it's not proper rain.
It's not strong. It's not funny. And as Billy Conley says, only not bad when hasn't he bad clothes.
Yep.
How's he doing
Still
these
wearing
days?
heavy baseball
He's
gear.
in Florida dying.
Yeah.
But he's still making
Currently
he's
a
still
lovely,
getting
warm,
still
sunny
doing a lot of
Florida.
interviews and doing documentaries about him, aren't
He's
they?
still,
Billy
he's
Conley?
still posting on social media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he is, yeah. So he's happy enough. But he lives in Florida now. It's,
He isn't. Don't
yeah, he's got Parkinson's.
don't give me any sympathy. Don't worry about me. I'm fucking lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's living his best
Quote
life. But he's having a
unquote.
But I think like they're basically like soft bloods in his death because he's doing documentaries about him and everyone's like, are you still okay, Billy? But yeah, he is still alive and he's doing quite a lot of art and things.
Whoa, I can feel a bit of heat here.
Heat?
I think I'm getting a tan.
That's delirium.
Just running down the back of your legs.
Sunstroke.
Yeah.
There's a difference. If you're not blue, you've got a tan.
Can you get rain stroke?
You got rain.
Yeah, that's nicely.
They got a rain burn.
You're going to wear that as DH?
Might do.
Keep your
alright.
Pussy.
I like your circulation, mate. Keep my swing as well.
You want that?
Temperature when I put that.
Yeah.
Usually needs a rain stop.
And the thunderstorms go. It was scheduled for thunder and lightning yesterday, mate. It was a nice day.
Lovely.
It rained for about 5 minutes after I got out the car wash. And I was like, fucking typical. And I stopped. Oh! The guy at the car wash, the one that sponsors me, seen this. Seen the poster he's put up. Of my credit card. Fucking massive.
Cute. A giant baseball player.
Oh no. Sales have gone down. I'm gonna go there in the night and stick a poster of me over the top.
Little moustache on it, innit?
Yeah, a little Hitler tash in there.
Right, we should probably get.
No, he's going.
Yeah.
I think he's coming up to the
Wow.
Newcastle game for one.
Yeah.
And he's down in London.
They got their own
Yeah, he said he might try and get back there.
Oh, good. Yeah, try and warm up again, guys. We're going again. Paul, Steve,
How you feeling?
and those three in some form of water.
We took some. Have we got painkillers?
No, just
I do have.
500 mils of water straight flash.
Do you want some Pro 7?
Sure, I've got some ibuprofen gel.
I've got some free spray.
Doesn't cost me anything extra for me to rub it in for you.
Where you need?
Oriana, that's sad.
See, uncomfortable to the men, not the
Probably just like dehydration. So not eating.
You can just be like, yeah, so you like it.
Yeah.
Why are you eating? No, you still eat, mate.
I get like hyperfix on something, and then by the time I do it, like half of the night, I'm like, ah, this is the day gone. Like, we got the keys
How
last
far?
Wednesday.
How far are you in?
Finished.
You don't.
I finished the whole house in a week and a half. That's why I haven't stopped.
That's nice though, I'm glad that you're in.
Oh man, now the bill starts.
Oh man,
Yeah, even the hat looks heavy now.
Have you got time to go home and change when you get back?
Me?
Yeah. For your league tonight?
I'm a football in league tonight.
Yeah.
I've already sacked it off. I'm going to work, but I'm not going.
Hey, that dart session looked pretty busy the other night.
Yeah, we might.
Oh, congratulations, by the way, anyway.
Dart session. What have you got, Dart?
180.
Oh yeah, I got the first one.
Hang on. On Friday, I also got my first ever 180.
In what?
11 or 8.
Oh!
There we go. Even got the pleasure of the picture for it as well. And by that point, I was about 6 pints in, which made it even more impressive.
I've already seen two
I fully feel like mine was an absolute fluke, but I was. That is the point. I was aiming for a 180.
Yeah. So it's
But
not so much of a fluke.
I still feel like it was a fluke.
I don't think we wanted the mount back in, did we?
Yeah, I think
Flat. Yeah, we're back on the flat. We're on the flat. Yeah, we're happy staying flat.
I'd rather not have anyone go injured.
And also, if it happens again, we don't want. Yeah, the same thing again. No, so.
Sorry?
it's not Edinburgh baseball.
We give it a go, and now we'll go down to the
At least there's no dip.
Yeah, as soon as they say
Yeah,
like,
where the plates are put in half below the.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Fair enough, but it's like, why is it going out?
Why are you taller than me?
When you think there's getting cold
Yeah,
hot.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's it. I think.
When you're 6'4" pitches going.
Okay, like no so.
And your curveball doesn't even get out of the dip.
Yeah, no, yeah. I think.
Just rolls to the plate.
start bolt, unless it's a really always cold, it's off.
You just think
That's
you need a
okay,
riser,
you know,
don't you?
we're up to the box, so we're all good. Or not.
We're not warming up like a bunch of nerds.
Although some of them are just from the Starbucks. So, you know, there's levels to this game.
Who was it that went to KFC mid-game? It was Sheffield, wasn't it?
I'm like,
Before they played us the other week. Come back with a load of KFC.
Best one was
Murderers.
we were playing the Senators at the Gateshead, and we're all ready to start the second half. The refs had gone off to KFC. So we're all waiting round. Like the main refs, and all the rest of his refs are like still at KFC.
Liam.
Might have been.
He's a prick, he ejected me from the game.
But we're just like, they're going like, we're ready for kickoff, we've only got one ref, the rest are all at KFC.
Cold target. Well, one ejection in 5 years was target. Because there was a. Did you? Yes.
Right on the neck.
Defensive guard in his mouth. So I pulled in from the line. It's like, nah, I'm in.
How far was the centre?
You're not actually that far. I mean, you could probably walk to the 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's it. If you actually followed me, Ricky, instead of some random
Hello.
BMW.
Keep going here. I was like, no, I'm following Rob. And then it disappeared. And that wasn't Rob.
I followed the sat nav and it's just the building. The time I was going to the bottom and across.
You had the same as me. Did you go past like the cathedral?
Yeah, I would come back. Normally come fast. If I was driving on myself, I would come in along by Golden Acres, right.
Even though my arms are still free. You've got another room for three of us in there, so you can share it. Friendly
I
actually.
would say people in this
Sorry? I used to road,
we turned right there instead of going straight on it. The sat nav was
Okay, well, 68.
to the top of the look,
I got in the car, I was like,
and then set me down York Place.
Wouldn't advise it.
and then
I
sat nav
think
just took the A1.
we're good to go.
By the time I'd already gone the wrong way out the village, and I was like, fine, whatever, go where it says.
It's like 30 miles.
What's
It's
that?
cool.
Yeah,
Obviously,
get
it's
played.
smoother. I feel 68.
And then they can moan about
Every hill, watching me going up and the back going
Spartans,
down.
hands in again, come on. Go again.
I've used 6
But the main,
2 of the
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 main's not
Take it all off, go again.
Go again. Go.
Here we go.
Spartans on 3.
Hang on.
There's a big spike in my leg. Spartans on 3, then a move. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Spurs! Woo! We need to echo at our stadium.
just getting the lead from side up.
Yeah.
Who's the first?
Ball.
You know, tell what the beach is.
Oh, wet hat. Yeah.
Are you going to do the strut? Come on, boy. You're going to walk up with the strut. Come on.
Got the whole team as close walking the room. I was going to go the way back. So walk out and see the dry roll.
I'm surprised I was behind it.
Stay and dry. Stay and dry.
It's either on the shop floor or inside the office. 8 hours
Singing in the rain.
Surely Ricky's
In a way, it's
really
got
close.
the
I
line
wish.
up with that.
Aqua.
I would like to change my walk-on music to Flowers. It's not Will Will Will.
Depend on your walk on music to the
Yeah, yeah.
He looks a lot more comfortable.
It's hard enough getting everyone to just do an intro to a song, so I'm not doing that again. I said next season if we could, I could maybe edit a certain part of the song that people want, but not this season.
That'll be old school style. We'll have to get like a cassette player or something and like record them.
Oh, I've learned how to
Off
do
the
it.
radio. Like. I know what I'm doing. You got to stop the recording before the DJ comes back on.
Yeah.
You know.
The Sunday top 50 chart.
No, I don't think it was.
Oh, you know, I'll send you a tune that I sent that I wanted to have for Edinburgh. Not this Edinburgh, the other Edinburgh. And you said no, I wasn't allowed it. The Lily Allen one. I just like that first guy that batted when he got hit and went, welcome to Scotland. I think that so hurt me. And he went, yeah. He said, I would have said that even if I struck out. I said, but when you come down here, I'm going to have to watch a few films. Let's go, Paul!
We are live once more from Warriston Park after a lengthy rain delay of approximately 40 minutes. So welcome back to the bottom of the second here on Spartans Baseball. I'm Gabriel Fiddler bringing you the game live from Warriston Park. 6-2 in the second inning from the Spartans' trip to very rainy Scotland for a game against the Saltire Sluggers, the single A All-Star team of the Scottish National Baseball League, as that first pitch of the second inning comes in outside to Paul Jones, the Spartans catcher. Blaine Heary returns to the mound as that pitch comes in low. So 6-2 Saltire after one inning. Not sure where that one missed. Makes it 3-0 though. Heary looking fresh after the long layoff. Fires in a pitch. This one right at the knees for strike one. So 3-1 count. Well high, and Jones earns the 4-pitch walk. So something doing for the Spartans here in the second inning. Steve Moody, the 8th out of 10 hitters, returns to the plate. He's the right fielder for today's game. Now, as a refresher, as Heary checks back Moody, who appears to be hit in the shoe. There are 10 players for each team, as this is an exhibition game, and the extra players allowed to get some playing time. Brings up Liam Tweddle, the 9-hole hitter, centre fielder for the Spartans. In Liam's last recorded game against Durham Uni, hitting from the 2 spot, went 0 for 3. Did reach base and stole a base though, as that pitch goes well wide from Heary. So 1 out count, wild pitch moves runners to second and third. And on deck, rounding out the lineup, is the Spartans DH Cammy Martin. So returning to Tweddle with the 1-0 count against Heary. Pitch fired in. Nice looking fastball there from Heary. So 1-1 count. That's Blaine Heary on the mound, wearing an Edinburgh t-shirt.
Last live stream ever by the Durham Spartans.
Ball is fouled off by Tweddle. Would appear to be the first pitching appearance of the year for Heary. Unclear as of yet what his which Edinburgh team. So bases loaded after the walk to Liam. Tweddle. Left-handed hitting Cammy Martin against the left-handed Blaine Heary on the mound. Pitching debut for Blaine Heary here in the Scottish National Baseball League All-Star game. Certainly one of the harder throwers that the Spartans have faced this year.
In Brazil, we do that, so I'm fine.
Pitch in high. Believe runs the count to 2-0.
Yeah, you know when you're like warming.
Blaine Heary plays for the Edinburgh Diamond Devils, I've been able to find out. He hits in AAA, but the National League team, Scottish National Baseball League, allows players who play for the AAA team to play in Single A if they play at a position for which they do not play at the AAA level. So Heary obviously looking to add pitching to his qualifications. Despite the good velocity, off to a rough start here in the second after a lengthy rain delay. Can hardly blame him given the weather conditions. It is still raining. It's not quite as hard as during the rain delay itself, but coming down in sheets of very thin, misty rain as Scott pokes a ball foul down the right field side. It's the first ball the Spartans have actually made contact with this inning. Only 3 strikes thrown thus far. So 6-3 now. Saltire Sluggers.
I thought you were doing like just as a joke before you get there.
No, I had noticed. my head
With leadoff hitter Ricky Scott at the plate. Scott walked his first time up, advanced to second on a wild pitch, stole third, which forced a throw from the catcher that went wild. So Scott scoring off in his entire own volition as a nice breaking pitch from Heary. Possibly a two-seamer. It looked like it broke in into the right-handed hitting Scott. Really nice pitch, best one we've seen from Heary today for to move the count to, I believe, 1-1, and then that pitch goes wild for 2-1. Looks like the ball must have gone through, thus creating a wild pitch. So runners move up for the Spartans. So 6-4 now. Scottish Single A All-Stars against the Spartans. So 2-2 count against Scott. Ball high to run the count full against Scott. So Scott walked his first time up. previous game against Durham Uni, walked all 3 times in the second game, scored all 3 times, stole 3 bases, and before that, as the pitch comes in, looks like a cold strike to catch Scott looking. A rare outcome for the Spartans' leadoff hitter is out number 1. So that brings up Frame, who also walked, stole third and scored on an error, in this case catch of the throw from the catcher by the third baseman for the second run of the game for the Spartans. Frame 0 for 3 with 2 runs and a walk against the Durham University side on the 15th.
You want to buy us a drink?
I don't know how to do that.
No.
I've only been shown like 5 minutes.
Against the Edinburgh Rays on the 27th of April, Frame went 0 for 2 with a walk.
I watched someone do it, but I'm not.
Carl, I'm an abomination.
What with the fire on it? I know, I mean, just to take over and like, when...
Best game of the year was an intra-squad game earlier in which Oriana, leading off for the Colours, went 3 for 5 with a walk and 4 runs.
But as soon as this gets wet, it just gets, it's got great grip in the dry.
Ball bounces off the catcher's glove. Tweddle thinks about it at third, but opts to return. Saltire Sluggers might have had a bit of a gift there, though that ball didn't bounce all that far. Believe that is a 2-0 count to Frame, the number 2 hitter in the lineup, playing second base today, her usual position. So playing Hiri on the mound, finally an out after walk hit by pitch, walk, as that ball is inside. Frame jumping out of the box to avoid getting hit. The Single A Scottish National Baseball League is topped currently by the Edinburgh Knights, who are 9-1. As that ball goes off the glove, could have been a pass ball, but Tweddle opts not to test the catcher as Frame walks. So bases loaded now here. Bases loaded now here for the Spartans in the second. Only one down. Carl Howe up. He was hit on a 3-2 count in his last AB. So Edinburgh Knights 9-1. Glasgow Comets a game and a half behind at 7-2. Glasgow Galaxy at 4-5. Edinburgh Angels, who are the Diamond Devils Single A team, renamed this year, of which I was unaware, at 3-6, and then Tayport Breakers at 0-9 in the Single A. House takes a ball. So count 1-0 against the Southpaw Hiri. Two balls now for Howe. Hiri fires in. Ball bounces just foul. Almost bounced back in right at the end. Would have, of course, still been a foul ball. So 2-1 count for Howe.
Half a day of rain in the whole tournament playing. And it was the day Dad went to the car boot sale. And when we got there, all the sellers barked.
27 pitches for Hiri in the inning. Must have had about the same in the first inning, so well over 50 in his pitching debut for at the Single A level. Ball runs the count 2-3, and one base is loaded, nowhere to put him. Hiri has already walked 6 and hit 2 in the game. Spartans have yet to hit safely. Ball 4 low in the dirt. That's an RBI base on balls for Howe. So Frame trots off for second, Martin trots off for third, and Liam Tweddle scores, making it 6-5. Looks like we might be having a pitching change as Heary debates the zone possibly with the catcher. That is Philip Makarowski. Heary, I think, not very pleased to come out. But understandably, after 7 walks in a total of 13 batters, time for a change of scenery. So we have a change in positions. Looks like the shortstop, Mike Keir, is coming into pitch. And gloves being traded elsewhere. So we'll relay those changes as we know them.
You come down to us next time.
Yeah.
It's warmer.
Changes are plenty for the Saltire Sluggers, Scotland's single A All-Star team. Moving from pitcher to left field is Brian Heary. Coming into pitch is Ryan McFarlane, the second baseman. And then coming in from left field to second is Jamie Waddle. Now, an interesting component here of the exhibition game is that Brian Heary, who's playing left field, will not bat in the game. So despite the fact that he has moved off of pitcher, for which he was one of the DHs was serving as his hitter, despite moving to another position, he will not hit. For those of you who play or are familiar with fast-pitch softball, this is, of course, a fairly common maneuver to DH a player. In this case, it is because they are DHing for a AAA level hitter. Heary, who plays for the Diamond Devils, hitting 200 this year at the AAA level, but keeping him as solely fielder and pitcher here in deference to his AAA status. So, turning to the new pitcher, Ryan McFarland. McFarland, the second baseman, hails from the Edinburgh Knights, who are, of course, the single A team for the Edinburgh Cannons. He has pitched so far this year. He's thrown a total of 4 games, pitched a total of 6 innings, only given up 5 hits, but struggled with command against a total of 8 strikeouts. He has allowed 5 hits, plenty of runs and walks. So challenge for him today, the new right-hander on the mound, will be to find the zone against Durham Spartans, who have proved to be very patient thus far in the game. Total of 5 walks this inning, 2 in the first inning, plus 2 hit by pitches means 9 Spartans have reached by free pass of some kind. First pitch comes in as, I believe, a ball. So 1-0 to Kishi, the Spartans cleanup hitter, only hitter to reach on a ball hit in play. Ball is high. So 2-0 count now to Kishi, who bounced into a fielder's choice, stole second, but was stranded at third base in the first inning. So McFarland deals, throws in, ball is low. 3-0 count now against the Spartans. Clean-up hitter and pitcher. So McFarlane again with his neon highlighter orange Knights cap, bounces the pitch in front of the plate, and Kishi walks to drive in the game-tying run. So 6-6 ball game as Cammy Martin trots home, having gone station to station with plenty of free passes handed out. So 7-6 Sparta, 6-6 Spartans now. Apologies for the brief scoreboard error. Nice pitch from McFarlane. Given that we're at a developmental level here, got to cheer for both teams, and McFarlane really needed that strike after 4 straight balls. So it's Tommy Warrilow who steps in, struck out looking on a 1-2 pitch last time, has stared at 2 strikes to start. In the Father's Day doubleheader against Durham Uni, 0 for 2 with a walk and 2 stolen bases was the junior Warrilow, looking at a low pitch there. And ball gets loose. So ball gets loose.
Well done, Carl.
And Oriana frame scampers home. So in case you missed that, as I did initially, the catcher threw down to third as Oriana frame was off of the bag, but the throw goes wildly into center field. So what could have been a pickoff turns into the go-ahead error for the Spartans. So 7-6 now against Warrilow, who has worked his way back to 2-2. McFarlane throws in, ball low, squirts away, nothing tempting though for the Spartans on base. That's Howe on third and Kishi on second. So full count, nice job by the 17-year-old Warrilow to work the count full. Notable increase in his plate discipline over the course of the years. That ball squirts foul. Howe elects not to go, but it is a walk to Warrilow. So back-to-back walks for the Spartans. Sounds of You Give Love a Bad Name can only signal the arrival of the elder Warrilow to the plate, for those of you who have joined us for a few games. So Tommy's dad, Rob, steps in. Last time, looped a half swing, soft line drive that was headed into left field. Instead, it dropped in for a dropped into the glove of the shortstop Kia for out number 3 against Durham Union game 1 on Father's Day. He went 1 for 2, 2 runs scored in previous games. Had a single against the Edinburgh Rays in the second game of the day. Looks like he did not play the first game. So, foul ball there off the bat of Warrilow. 10th batter in the inning for the Spartans. Bases loaded here. A big hit here would break the game open, as Warrilow pops the ball, will land foul. Just trying to get the ball in play there against the Scottish pitching staff, who have still not allowed to hit, but have walked a total of 9 and hit 2 batters. So Warrilow stands in. He'll be the final batter at the inning, as the teams have agreed to 10 batters per inning.
So no.
Are you alright?
Yeah.
Called strike there.
Yeah, well, we will sort it out. I just think when he first arrived,
And
I don't think so.
that is a called strike 3.
We'll see how it is.
What are we doing?
That was the last bar.
That was the
That's
last
the last
batter,
batter.
So, strikeout for the second out in the inning, but it will be the final out of the second. So, Spartans score 4 runs. They do so without a hit. There is 1 error in the inning and 3 left on. So, 5 in the inning. So a big bases loaded situation for Scotland. Escapes as Kishi shows off before heading back to the mound. He has been stranded twice now on the bases. We'll take a brief break here in between innings as we head to the bottom of the second. So more Spartans baseball here with myself, Gabriel Fiddler, in a few moments. Okay, we're back in action here. It looks like we may have lost some of the audio from the top half of this inning as Mickey Walton ropes a ball to left center field. Tweddle there to pick it up. Tosses a big throw back to the pitcher. Kishi, who can't quite corral it. And Walton advances to second on the throw. So 2 RBIs. Well, 1 RBI for Walton. Makarovsky also scores, though. And Scotland takes the lead, 8-6. Runners now solely just at second base. Cold strike leading off to James Rennie, the centre fielder from the Breakers. First in a run of really prototypical Scottish family names. Rennie, Keir, McFarlane, McIntosh. Great run of names well known with different first names for their accomplishments in various fields. Rennie, the architect, of course. As the count goes to 1-1. Reaches out and somehow slaps that ball to right field. Frame playing at double play depth despite only 1 runner on, and the ball goes more or less where the second baseman normally would. Runner scampers all the way home on that one. So RBI single for Rennie brings in another run.
They're actually this is the Barbarians team. So it's a group of guys from the level.
Mike Keir stepping to the plate. He's been the shortstop thus far from the Comets. He'll be moving to third base after the inning, and a myriad of changes for the Scottish All-Stars. Stolen base for Rennie moves him to second. Still none out here for the Spartans, who in the first inning had failed to get an out through the first 9 and then incredibly turned a triple play that involved only 3 players, third base, shortstop and catcher, with the play going 5-2, 5-6. Very unusual one. Anything can happen in baseball, of course, as those of you who've watched for a while will know, as Keir fouls off a pitch. 1-1 count now to the 5-hole hitter for Saltire Sluggers. Keir has been playing in the Glasgow organisation for several years now. Looking for his stats as we speak, as that ball comes in, does not find the plate. So Keir, great start to the year. 11 for 20. That's a 550 average. Add on 4 doubles to that. 5 walks, and he's only struck out once in a total of 25 plate appearances. Fantastic season for Keir, one of the top players in Single A, and deservedly recognised with an appearance here with the All-Star team. He is ruled out, however, on a cold strike 3. Gives a second look to the umpire, as that ball was quite low even on the rather short-statured Keir. Still a little bit low in the zone as Kieran Casey steps in to pinch hit for Ryan McFarlane, who's serving as the captain for today's game. Pitched to finish off the second inning and has now exited here for the pinch hitter Kieran Casey. Ball goes wild. Makes that 1-1. So runner on third now is James Rennie. Advances on a wild pitch. Casey, a player for the Galaxy, for whom this year he's gone a whopping 10 of 18 with 2 doubles and 3 home runs. That makes for a .556 average. He's also drawn a whopping 11 walks. And his slugging percentage at 1167, almost certainly the top player in single A. Amongst other categories, Casey, who is 25 years old, leads the league in home runs. 3 home runs have been hit in single A this year. Casey has all of them. Cold strike there, though, sends him down. And that's back-to-back strikeouts looking from Kishi, who's suddenly looking a lot more comfortable in the last few batters after really struggling with the sheets of rain that were driving down. Really quite an impressive feat to get Casey swinging. He was 6th in the league in hits. He was tied for 4th in the league in doubles, leads in home runs, tied for 2nd in RBI, tied for the lead in walks, and 3rd in the league in strikeouts. So a huge out for the Spartans here in the 2nd as first baseman Gavin McIntosh steps in and takes a strike. Next one misses to run the count to 1-1. Another ball taken here from Kishi. Kishi, a Japanese right-hander who has come to the Spartans from the London Metros, the AAA team of the 9-time consecutive British Baseball League champions. As that ball is fouled off by McIntosh to run the count to 2-2. Throws 3 pitches with regularity. That is a fastball, a changeup, and a slider. The slider, to use more common parlance in 2025, is more like a sweeper. Cuts right across the plate as McIntosh fouls that one off. Might have clipped his boots just a little bit. So the count remains 2-2 to McIntosh, the number 7 hitter for Saltire. Throw down to first base as the ball goes wild. Ricky Scott tags him, and that is 3 strikeouts in a row to get out of the inning. So 3-run score on a total of 3 hits for the Scottish players. No errors and 1 left on, but the single A Scottish All-Stars have taken the lead 9-7 here through 2 innings. So we'll take a brief break and return for the top of the 3rd inning.
Scott, I'll give you.
Welcome back to Warriston Fields here in Edinburgh for the top of the third inning. Myriad changes for the Saltire Sluggers. Mainly, though, we have a new pitcher, which is Kai Martin, number 69 from the Glasgow Galaxy. Right-hander. Pink hair, pink sleeves, pink and blue trainers. So, should be easy to spot on the live stream. We have a new middle infield as well. Caitlin McCaffrey enters to play second base. Philip Makarovsky is moving home from moving to shortstop from catcher, and the new catcher is Kieran Casey, who pinch hit late in the second inning. Meanwhile, the Spartans, who are down 9-7, sent Paul Jones lead off. Swing and fielded by Kai Martin right in front of the plate, but Jones beats that out, then tumbles, and the wild throw from Martin means that he will head to second. So infield single for Paul Jones, who streaks down that line much more quickly than one might necessarily have anticipated. Nice burst of speed there to beat out the hit, force the quick throw, and give the Spartans a runner in scoring position to start the inning. So 9-7 Spartans now, and runner on second base in Jones brings Steve Moody to the plate. He was hit his last time in the foot. He'll be followed by Liam Tweddle and Cammy Martin to go 8, 9, 10 in this unusual 10-person batting order. So Moody steps in looking for the first pitch over the plate this game. Martin looks back at second, deals, throws in high. So 1-0 count to Moody. Kai Martin entering in the game. Third pitcher for Scotland as he gets a swing and a miss from Steve Moody to run the count to 1-1. Martin has pitched extensively for the Glasgow Galaxy single A team. Appeared in a whopping 9 games. That's almost, in fact, that is every game, as he gets a cold strike on a loopy ball there. Might have been a curveball from Martin, who has pitched every one of the Galaxy's games this year. 28 innings, he's given up 31 runs, which in single A really pretty decent, as Moody swings at a pitch in the dirt. And Martin has struck out 21 in those 28 innings, given up 48 hits, 28 walks. So lots of base runners, but gets the job done for the single A Galaxy. In case you missed it earlier, the Galaxy, one of 5 single A teams, as Tweddle loops a ball down to third base. He's beats it out as the third baseman checks, and Jones takes third. So Tweddle beats out the ball after the third baseman attempts to check back Jones at second. Backfires, though, when Tweddle beats out the infield single, and Jones ends up at third anyway. So a bit of a mental error there for the third baseman for the Scottish single A All-Stars. That's new entry to the game, Lucas Jones at third base as Cammy Martin steps in. Looks like a slider taken low and inside for ball 1. So runners on first and third for the Spartans. Down 9-7. Foul ball for off the bat of Martin. Almost a swinging softball style approach there at the plate for Martin, who saw 4 straight pitches for a walk in his last AB. This time lefty swinging against a righty. Righty is the Galaxy's Martin. So the only position on the field that remained the same from last top of the second inning, apologies, to the top of the third is the right fielder and the first baseman. Every other position changing for the Scottish team, with both new entrants and players shifting into new positions. Martin looking at that one, wanted to swing, but it just outside and held back to run the count to 3-1. So one down, runners on first and third as the rain has picked up again. Not so much raining more in terms of more heavy, as Martin swinging sting, almost like a swinging bunt, advances the runners. Advances Jones. So RBI fielder's choice there. Put out goes 2-3. So back-to-back RBIs for Martin, but the second out recorded in the inning. Spartans get one back though. And we'll send up leadoff hitter Ricky Scott, who has walked and struck out looking. He has seen a whopping 12 pitches in 2 ABs. Worth noting, of course, that the hit by Paul Jones to start the inning broke up the combined no-hitter that Scottish pitchers had been throwing. 9 walks and 2 hit by pitches in the first 2 innings, but no hits. 2 in the inning thus far, off the bats of Tweddle and Jones. Very nice throw from the catcher, but just not quite in time to catch Tweddle. That play is much, much closer than it normally would be. Gorgeous throw from the new catcher, Kieran Casey, the triple slugger for the Glasgow Galaxy, who's now behind the plate, who pinch hit in the last inning. A swing and a miss now from Scott. Runs the count to 1-1. So 2 down here, top of the 3. Martin chucks the ball in behind Scott. So 2-1 count now.
I haven't yet tried that, but I will try that.
Rain's setting into a steady patter now. Ball bounced to third base. Skips under the glove of the third baseman and then throw wildly. So the 2 errors by the third baseman. Tough start to his game as the run scores to tie the ball game on the fielding error. Scott reaching first and then scoring on the throwing error. So 9-9 ball game here as Oriana Frame steps in. Frame in her first at-bat walk, second at-bat walk, scored both times. Martin picks off Scott, but no one standing on the base. Had him totally banged to rights with a sneaky pickoff move, but miscommunication between the second baseman McCaffrey and the shortstop Makarovsky, who's just moved over from catcher, and both of them standing about 8 feet away from the back. So Scott manages to just get back as McCaffrey rushes over, but not quite in time to get him. So beautiful move from Martin. Don't see a lot of pickoffs at second base at this level, but beautiful stuff as that ball goes low and Scott will advance on the wild pitch. No throw, but Scott, as usual, going to slide. And we will no doubt hear the story of that replay from him in between innings. So 1-out count, I believe, to Frame.
I like your slides because you always leave like a 5-minute dust cloud. Do you the person that's on the base?
Unlike the Spartans field with the dusty cutouts here, more like mud surrounding the bases, and only really first base. It is not grassed all the way. We are, of course, in a city park. It's the Morrison Playing Fields, home of Baseball Scotland, but here no permanent baseball features of any kind. Tayport and Glasgow both have their own fields with full infields, mounds, and so forth. In particular, if you're ever in eastern Scotland, it's worth checking out the Breakers home field. One of the best views in European baseball, overlooking the Firth of Forth, beach behind, right on the point north of Tayport. So we're just near Dundee. Beautiful, beautiful field. Glasgow's field in just south of the city centre. Well, I should say a couple miles south of the city centre, actually. Sort of on the edge where it turns more to suburbs. As Martin throws in his 4th straight ball. Frame has now seen a consecutive 11 balls and has simply walked down to first time after time. So happy to take the free passes. As Howe steps in, he has been hit and walked. Takes a strike there. Howe pulls up. May have had a little bit of break to it. Snapped back into play. So 0-1 count there against Howe, the 3-hole hitter. Ducks out of the way again. That ball just misses inside, though, to Howe. So players here representing 4 of 5 of Scotland's baseball cities, as a gorgeous breaking pitch from Martin, who at times has really looked pretty impressive, looking for some consistency, but looks to be throwing a slider, possibly a 2-seamer, and then a 4-seamer. Command is a bit fleeting at times, but there fools Howe with strike 3. That is 3 outs for Durham in the inning. So 2 runs ties the ball game up, but Martin gets out without any more. Both of those runs unearned for the new Scottish hurler, as the Spartans scored 2 runs on 2 hits, but with a total of 3 errors from the Scots, 2 runners left on. So 6 runners left on in this tie ball game, and we'll head to the bottom of the 3rd.
Was I right to die there? I did not hear anyone say stand or die.
Welcome back to Spartans Baseball here in the top of the 4th inning. I believe this will be the final inning in Game 1. Excuse me, bottom of the 4th inning. I believe this will be the final. 9-9 ball game, everything to play for here. Should the should the Scottish team score here, I believe that would be game over. And the first hitter up will be one of the Edinburgh Angels players. That is Eric Yang. Yang, one of 2 DHs in the game. He singled to centre field and stole second, then was caught out in the triple play in the 1st inning. So returning for his 2nd AB here. Big hack from Yang. So bottom 3 here from Warrison playing fielders in Edinburgh. Sidearm from Kishi. Ball nubbed. And Kishi cannot pick up the ball. No doubt very slippery in his hands. Yang, surprisingly quick, forced the throw with quick running, but that batter does reach on the infield hit, we'll say, and onto second on the wild throw, which went out of play, automatically moving the runner up. So, runner on second base.
Are you got a lot on when you're away, or are you just there to see a few things and see a few things and have a few?
So, game-winning run at second. Caitlin McCaffrey, who came into a second base last inning, steps in for her first AB of the game. McCaffrey, one of the leading characters in a recent book about Irish and British baseball, Dale Power's Makeshift Fields, Chasing Baseball Across Ireland, Scotland, England and Wales, serves as a really interesting voice in discussing Scottish baseball. In full conflict of interest waiver here, it's worth noting that I edited this book, and so when I tell you that it's worth checking out, I am somewhat biased, but I think you will agree if you pick it up. It's a great insight into what baseball is like in the British Isles, on both sides of the Irish Sea, let's say. McCaffrey from down under, and moved here, had never played before and decided to pick it up, has become an institution of Edinburgh baseball.
Well, I have already swapped them, so
We're on low battery here, so apologies if the stream cuts out suddenly. Count now to Blaine Heary, the game's starting pitcher, who was not hitting initially and then entered. So, believe that that is a 1-0 count to him. So apologies for the brief delay, as McCaffrey strikes out for the first out in the inning, and bringing Blaine Heary up to the plate. So apologies for that brief break in commentary. So the runner on second base still Yang, one down now. Heary to the bat. Plays for the Edinburgh Diamond Devils at the AAA level. Suiting up here in single A, as many players do when playing new positions. The Scottish single A is very much seen as an opportunity to develop players at new positions. Ball is inside, I believe, running the count to 3-1. Yes, 3-1. The umpire Rebecca Robb confirms. Umpiring crew here is Rebecca Robb behind home plate, Gordon Dean at second base. Dean, a legend in Edinburgh, helped restart the Scottish Baseball League three different times. The first time being really essentially the first proper Scottish National League. Baseball has been played in Scotland since 1878, with quite a peak in the 1890s with Edinburgh University's team touring all over Britain. As Heary swings wildly and misses, Jones picks it up. Can't quite get it, but Heary takes off for second and makes it all the way to second on a wild third strike. So strikeout and advances to second base on a wild pitch. Not a common one. Actually, really a great job from Jones, who's not used to working behind the plate, to go over and grab that quite wild and outside pitch quickly, and then throws it over to Scott, but not able to corral the throw, and Heary just continues. Heary has all the markings of someone with quite a lot of experience, and indeed in practice was running the pre-game drills for the Single A All-Stars, and taking a big lead off second, as you'll see again in just a moment. He's sprinting all the way to third before stopping in the shortstop hole. 2-0 count, though, on the leadoff hitter Grennan, who singled twice, both times to third base. First time down the line well into left field, second time beat it out on really nice running to first. Takes this one inside to make it 3-0. So Grennan at bat, 3-0 count. First base is open. Fouled out over the right-hand side. So wild pitch does score the run. Yang comes home. Game winner. Final is 10-9 in 3 innings. So a run scores there on 1 hit, 1 error, and leaving 1 man on. So that's 10-9 in game 1 to the Saltire Sluggers, the Scottish National Baseball League's Single A team. So Scott Grennan left at the plate. Game over. 10-9. Spartans winning streak ends. Losing streak continues to 2. However, overall on the season, still a strong 7-4 record for the Spartans. This one called early because thanks to the rain delay and the distance travelled, the idea is to play 2 no matter the length of game. So
because it's not a forward movement, is it?
Quick wrap up for you of the game. The losing pitcher is the Spartans' Kishi, Douglas Kishi. He pitches 2 1/3 innings. He strikes out a total of 5, and in the driving rain allows a total of 9 hits, throwing at about 60% efficiency. For the winning Saltire Sluggers, 3 pitchers toss. The winner is Kai Martin, who comes in to pitch the 3rd inning, allowing only 2 earned runs and striking out 2. At bat, Scott Grennan 2 for 2, Mickey Walton 2 for 2 for Saltire. Eric Yang also 2 for 2. Those first 2 score a pair of runs, as do Mickey Walton. For the Spartans, Oriana Frame walks 3 times and scores twice. Liam Tweddle and Paul Jones, both a single and a walk, the only 2 hits in the game. As you can tell, it's getting much noisier here, so we'll sign off here for now. Next game, I suspect, likely to start in about 20 minutes, so we will probably be back with you at around 3:45, assuming technology cooperates. If not, thank you for tuning in. Make sure, if you haven't followed us, that you do, and tune in for more Spartans Baseball. I'm signing off. This is Gabriel Fiddler. Thank you for listening to Spartans Baseball. We'll be with you next time.